Hi everyone, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, I don't know what time is it for you. I'm Thomas Roussel from Pixelogic under the nickname Police Cult. Today I will continue what I did during the previous session, which is of course this Kylo Ren helmet. That I'm doing for 3D printing and cosplay. The goal of course is to have something not just to render an image, but mainly to be able to wear it, and I hope to be done for this next week. I really hope to show you some post-process this next week, since I will leave France for the US October the 3rd for the ZBrush Summit. Then I don't have a lot of time, and perhaps I will need to cancel the next stream just because I will need to work on that before leaving. First of all, I'm sorry because I had to cancel the last stream, which was scheduled for this last Wednesday for multiple reasons. Tonight, then I will continue on the model. Sorry for this, I just put some metallic matte cap just to simulate a little bit what could be the helmet. I won't work with this matte cap, of course, but just to give you an overview of the current stage. The last time all the pieces were done, I started to do some damages and scratch on the front part of the helmet. Since then, the only thing I did was to add more scratch, and I will come back on that just in a few seconds, on all these parts. And I added just a small part, this black part inside. Let me just show the wireframe, display the wireframe, which is behind, because this part is really black. You don't see the face, and I don't want to put some makeup just to be black behind. Then I just added this part, and the process was the same as before, meaning using the topology brush just to draw some very few polygons, and then on top of that adding some thickness, nothing else. Then for today, the goal will be just, of course, to explain how I did this scratch, and you will see it's very easy. I need just to add one single part, which is, I don't know the name, the visor, to put on front of the eyes. And I rewrite the movie, I look online, and it seemed that it's a kind of surface which has a lot of small holes, micro holes. I don't know exactly how you name that in English. I think I will go that way. Some toys and masks have a kind of transparent, black transparent kind of plastic on top, but I think I will go with these small holes. And I did also some tests, some 3D printing test, sorry, in between. Then I will show that in a few seconds. Just to let you know that, of course, as usual, you can ask your questions, your comments in the chats. I will do my best to answer them. I don't know for how long I will work tonight. Perhaps 2 hours, perhaps 3 hours, perhaps 4 hours. I don't know yet. I really want to move forward because I need to print all of that, and because it's really big, it will take a lot of time, and without considering the post process, I will need to sand some part, I will need to glue, and I forgot one thing, shit, in the kitchen. I will just need to leave the stream for a few seconds. Then just thank you, ZBrush, and hello to you, good evening. Sorry, I lost my thought. Yes, about 3D printing, yes, what I said. Since it's a big part of the model, I need to consider the 3D printing time and which technology I will use, meaning FDM, which is this plastic filament that you will, a nozzle will just melt to produce the 3D model, or using an SLA printer, which is a resin which is cured by a UV laser, meaning for me, the Ultimaker has a FDM printer, or the Form 2 has a SLA printer. Then, of course, like I said, I did some tests because this model will be pretty big. As you can see, it needs to fit my head. Then I have, of course, this concern of the time, but also as well, hi Kyle, I need also to consider that I will need to bring that to the US if I'm done. and I don't think it will fit my suitcase, I mean my luggages. Then I will need to split my model for 3D printing, but also for the transportation of this helmet. And it will be quite annoying, to be honest. And the more I split my model, the more I will need to do some post-process to regluing some parts, to clean the seam between two parts, all these kind of things. And no, I won't wear that at the airport, no way. And I think it will be even worse in France than in the US. Then I did some 3D printing tests, and let me just start with some photos that I didn't load before. Ah, shit, sorry. Let me show you some photos. Dropbox, 3D, and Kylo Ren. Where are you, Kylo Ren? Here. Okay, and let me show you that some photos. And I started to print just one part. You see on the helmet, this front part, let me solo it, this one, which is a part which will be of course very visible because it's a kind of chrome material. This is very visible and it's not that small. And what will I do? Will I print that in multiple parts? It was a lot of question for me, and what I did was to print in fact two parts, which is, you see this last, let me remove the perspective, this last part is just alone, it's not connected to other parts. And then everything else is just another part, a single part. Then I decided to print these two parts with the two printers, then the Ultimaker and the Form 2. And then I started with this part, which is the biggest one, and this one in fact won't fit whatever I do the building volume of the Form 2. It just fits without any issue, in fact, the Ultimaker. In fact, the Ultimaker on the horizontal axis is 223 millimeters by 223 millimeters. Sorry, I don't know in inches, but it's that size. Let me pick my ruler. You see, based on my head, you see my head, this is this size. Then it's not that small. Then this part is fitting perfectly. And this one below fit just barely the Form 2. Then it was a good test for me. Let me switch to the photos. Then what you see right now, this is the latest part, the biggest part of this front part of the helmet, which is here. And this part is on top of supports. And you must have support for this kind of object because it can't lay down on the building platform. And because it's starting with just a very small point and all this support, you see, it didn't work at all. In fact, all the other part was fine, but the beginning of the 3D printing parts on this side didn't work at all. While on this side, you see there is some scratch on this area. This part is missing. It doesn't work at all. Then I tried multiple times, and let me show you that. You see, let me switch to the other, the big screen. Okay, you see, this is the part right now. And you see on the side, because it didn't work on this part, it didn't melt or just the support was not gluing enough. And you need to consider that the FDM printing, because it switched from 220 degrees to the room temperature, there is some shrinkage, it shrinks, sorry. And because of that, it didn't really attach to the model. And I did another test by changing some settings and slightly changing the orientation, and this part was fine, but this one started just to, it didn't work at all. And you see on the front part, you see it's a little bit scratch. Let me switch to the next photo. You will see that on screen. And let me remove the webcam. And you see on this area, the support, you see it starts to simply not really growing the good way. Why? Because again of this shrinkage for the model. Then it didn't work at all. Then what I did was to work in a totally different orientation of the model, to have this big part which is almost flat, but not really flat. Then to have the printer printing very large layers, not very small layers. And it turned pretty well, because I had almost no issues. All this part grew perfectly, and even if my quality was not at the highest quality, it was 150 microns per layer, I had some scratch, you see, on these parts. Let me switch to the... On this screen, you see this is a part which is pretty good, and you see if I'm fitting my head. It's a good size. Of course, I check the size, but if you see, just look at this part, it's not very nice because of the support, meaning that for this simple part, I will need to sand a lot to clean this kind of part, which is really problematic, and also because I need to consider the amount of time it will take to do the post-process. You have to print, but if I decide to spend, I don't know, just to avoid spending too much money, or not because I don't want to split, but I spend twice the time to do the post-process than just putting in another technology and just gluing and just filling with some putty the seam. Yeah. Then I switch to then the other part, and at least this part is working, and I know that the quality will be fine enough for cosplay stuff. Not the perfect grade, but fine enough, considering that the support part will need a lot of work, and it needs to be on invisible part if I want to avoid any kind of complex post-process. And thank you for the conversion of sizes. Then I switch to the Form 2, and this is the, oops, sorry, let me switch back to the screen. Okay, then I switch, like I said, to the Form 2 for the front part, and it just fits barely in the printer, just barely. I had something like 1 millimeter of gap between the build platform and the model. Don't look at that, because the model is rounded, and this part, in fact, is way over this part. And I had no issue at all. I print in 100 microns, it prints perfectly, and more important, it took less time to print this big model than it took me to print the other part on the FDM printer. And this is a reason why I really enjoy the SLA printing over the FDM printing. For this kind of stuff, it's way faster. The downside is you have quite some supports. You see that all these supports below. This is just some lost material. Let me switch back to the big webcam. You see, that's quite a lot of support. This is just some lost material. You see, we see, in fact, the shape of the model. And also the problem is you need to sand, but because you have way more control on support on SLA printing, it's way more easier to remove this support. Let me show you that the model, the final model, which is here. You see, it's, sorry, I have my glasses, but it's there is no problem of sizes. It's perfect. And you see the surface it's very clean. I just have a little bit of support on these areas, on the external part, but just by sanding a little bit and it's done. And the resolution, even if it was 100 microns, perhaps I will print in 50 microns, but there is no need to print in 25 microns. It's way enough. And some paint on top of that, and it will be perfect. Meaning that for the whole model, let me switch back to the next photo. Okay, let me just go back here. Sorry, I will just go back to what was I said. Then the problem with this kind of print, this big prints, is you see on the printer when the print was done, it was really the maximum size of the printer. And just to remove my build platform because of the model, and you see there is a wiper. The wiper is a kind of mechanical arm which does a kind of it slides from left to right just to clean the bottom layer of the resin tank. You have some silicone, then it just clean and breathe, in fact, the layer at the same time. And to remove my print, I had to remove this part because I wasn't able to remove the build platform because of that. And then after, for the cleaning process, which is a bath of IPA, isopropylic alcohol or something like that, it's bigger than my cleaning tools. Then I need to clean in multiple parts, and it's a kind of big mess. But I still prefer dealing with this big mess than sending for hours some FDM. Of course, you can buy a FDM printer at a very cheap price, while it's more difficult to print, to find good SLA printer with a decent volume size, building size for your model. Then, let me go back on that. Meaning, yes, I mean a lot of things. Let me remove my solo mode, that I will try as much as possible to print all my parts with the Form 2 and not the Ultimaker. I don't know yet exactly if I will be able to do it just because of the size, the support. But because of the quality, because of the problem with support, and more important, the time it will take for the quality, I will try to do as much as possible. Then I don't know if it will fit. Then you see, for this front part, I know that all these lines, I don't know to name that, but all for the front part of the mask, the helmet, here I will be able to print with the Form 2. This one won't fit. But I prefer eventually just slicing, just, you see, on this part, just here, just to reduce the size of my model to be in two parts, and then having a small scratch and just gluing a little bit while I have a scratch. This is great to hide the cut, the slice of your model. But like this, I will be able to have a big part without having a front seam line just in between, but more on a scratch. Or perhaps, you'll see, I will just split horizontally on this area just to hide using this split. Like that, I will have two parts, and my printer will be large enough. Another part which is problematic, let me solo that one. You see, this is this front part. Let me switch back to my default material because it's not that easy to see. Okay, then these parts won't fit the printer at all. Okay, and what I will do will be to split again my model, and I will probably split like that, you see, following this line here and just this front line here. Why? Because I have this chrome part on top here and here, then the seam will be just barely visible. And after gluing, putting some putty, sanding, and with some paint on top of that, I mean, I will know where will be the seam, but most of people who will look at the helmet may not see like it, and it won't prevent me, when I will glue everything, to use some tool just to scratch manually on the seam area. Is that really Naiga? I'm not really sure to understand what you mean. Okay, and then the second part of this trim, then the first part will be to finish all this part, all the details, will be to do the split. Something I forgot to tell you is I have quite some strong magnets. I have small one and bigger ones, which are very small ones. Sorry, it's not very easy to show that, but they are very strong. You can buy them on Amazon for a very cheap price. And to attach all this part, of course, some of them I will glue them, like two parts that I will need to split for just 3D printing, I will glue them back. But to do the assembly of my model, I will, as much as possible, use this magnet. Like that, I will be able to just detach and retach just for transportation. And I just need to look at the measurements, because I don't trust what Amazon means the seller is giving as values, but I can use something like that, just 2 by 2, because it will be stronger, way stronger if you put 2 of them like that, and then I will hide them inside. Then during the stream, the second part will be all this preparation for 3D printing. To create this visor of the model, I will create a new subtool, and I will insert my usual Polymesh 3D star, and this model I will use now, I will convert to a quick cube, and this quick cube will be something like 16 for the x-axis, the y something like 4, and the depth value for z to be just 1 quick cube. And if I switch to transparency mode, why I don't, this is too small. Then scaling, and I will do some scale like that. And let me display the polyframe. And what is very important is, because I'm working at scale, I need to just to look at this thickness. And for this thickness, I will go to 2 millimeters. Then I will use my transpose line. And this transpose line, I will look at this 0.02 value on top. You always have the values of your units, because I'm working at a hundredth of the real size of my model, meaning I need to multiply by 100 to export my model. This is the real thickness I need to use to print, to have my 2 millimeters. And now I can just scale like that. I'm in move to do a uniform scaling, and like this. If I'm just in the middle, now I should have my 0.2 millimeters. Then I have the good thickness. And to do my, for the shape, to fit the whole model, not the whole model, but the shape which is rounded, I will use in the gizmo this modifier, the bend arc, like this. I will go on top. It's very important to snap to an orthogonal view, really to be on top, because when you are, not this one, but changing the angle, it will use the point of view just to define the orientation. That's why it's important to be like that on top. And I can change the radius, you see, to have a smaller radius. The idea is to keep as much as possible my polygons to be square. Yeah, as much as possible. I need to increase slightly my radius again, like this. Why? Because I will use my Boolean tools to do a lot of small holes, to have these micro perforations, micro holes, just to be able to see through the model. Okay. Then I know that my modifier will do the job. Probably I will use my move brush with a large radius to refine the shape, but it should be okay. Then, okay, I can undo. And now I will just insert a lot of cylinders that I will after subtract with the Boolean tool. Let me quit the gizmo, the deformer, then I will just delete it like this. And I will need to have more polygons for my model, because I will need to bend it. I want that to be nicely bended, and because after I will use my move brush, I need to have enough polygon at least. Then I will go to my geometry palette and divide without the smoothing. Divide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I delete my lowest level, yeah, oh, I think it's even too much. I think that should be okay, because the Boolean doesn't really need to have all these polygons. That's even too much. I just want to have something which is clean enough for the bending, and I think now it will be bended enough. And this is type of model I will be able anyway to smooth. I won't have any kind of detail on top of that. Okay. Then I have my model. Let me hide everything except that one. Okay. And I will insert all my small cylinders. And for these cylinders, I don't care, in fact, of the resolution of the cylinders, because I will it will be just subtracted to the model. Then I won't have any kind of problem of thickness, of resolution. The idea is just to be thin enough to see through this shape, but not too big to really too much what is behind this shape, meaning my eyes and my face. This is an unknown, to be honest. This is the type of first model I will print just to see if I can see through it. Okay. Then to do my array mesh, I need to have my model, one model that I will duplicate, then some simple cylinders. And again, I will insert, no, We have an insert primitive. I will do that way. Insert primitive brush, and on top you have multiple tools. That you have this insert cylinder. No, I mean inners. I don't really care, in fact. And let me insert my model like this. Just keep in mind that this model is not masked while everything else have a mask applied. I will split it to be a different subtool, then split unmasked points like this. Let me just bring back that one. I can remove my transparency, move like that. Let me check the radius of this model because I have no idea for now, which is 0.02, 2 millimeters. Then I have the same width for the diameter than I have here, which is 2 millimeters as a whole. I think I will go with 1 millimeter. I think, which is then going to the radius that way. Let me scale it down, then twice. Oops. It will be difficult to go to the come on, ZBrush. It's in between. It's not always very easy. Then I can use, if it's difficult for me to go in geometry, you have the size, and then you have the radius, which is here, the global size and the radius. Then I want to have 0.01 by 0.01 by like this. Then by using these measurements, you see, I have what did I do? Okay, I understand now better why I have this size. Then I'm not stepping exactly, but you see I have 0.1. You see it's not the good radius, but that way I have my 1 millimeter. Sorry about that. Don't forget that you have this size setting, which is great when you want to define your values like that. Okay, then since it's a subtool, I will just go down the list, this one as well. Okay, then I just want to have this one being a whole. I click on this mode to say this one will be a negative model, and if I enable the live Boolean, let me just hide the model, you see like this, I have my hole which is done. Then I need to do quite a lot of small holes on my model, and because this is live, I can move it, you see, that way, not this one but the other one, like this. And to duplicate, what I will do, I will simply use my the array mesh tool. Then you go in geometry, array mesh. I will enable my array mesh while I will switch to my transpose mode that I'm always using. I remove my gizmo mode. Okay, and I want to repeat, let's say, I don't know yet, let's say 26. And I can move, you see, that way. The idea, at least for now, is to do one series of holes, and now I can duplicate like that the small holes. And perhaps 1 millimeter, it's difficult. Yeah, I will stick to 1 millimeter. And I want to have more holes to be perhaps closer to each others. Let's say 140. Oops. Like that. It increases my number of like this, and I need to duplicate again. Then I will append a new stage, meaning I will do a new array mesh, but not by using the initial cylinder, but the result of my previous array mesh. And I want to do, let's say, 8 copies, but this one I will move it on the vertical direction like this. Then I can duplicate to have more holes see, like this. And in between, I will use a copy of this result model. Or perhaps I won't go not that much until the end, like this. And this second, I will use this result again. I will open a new stage, and this one I just want to have another copy. And if I move it like this, you see I'm doing that very visually. Where is my transpose? Where are you, transpose? Where are you, transpose? Here. I just need to slightly offset my grid. And now my grid is done. You see, I just have this extra series of holes, but I don't care. I can slice it after with the Boolean again if I want. I will, yeah, you see I have these small extra holes here. Then I need to offset just from one direction. Like this. Okay. Now my array mesh is done. Okay, like this. I can go back here and say I want to make one mesh. Yep, come on, don't crash. And make mesh again. In fact, each stage become one mesh. Okay, take some time. Why I have so many polygons? That much for these cylinders? Okay. Then I have my grid. Then I can go back in my subtool. This is -1. And I want to do a Boolean operation of this model. But just to avoid some issues, I will just hide this n row and this one. I want to have something which would be, let's say, clean enough. Let me solo that one. Like this. I hope I will pick everything. I'm not very sure that I have, oh yes, I have everything. I think I will leave that one because it will be difficult to select, but what I can do is simply moving like this. And it should be fine on the other side. Right, I said, I think I have more than just once. Oh yes, I have 2 extra rows. That's quite a lot of cylinders. But this is where it's very good to work with ZBrush, because before we had not a lot of solutions to do this kind of shapes, except using, of course, Dynamesh, but you need to have a very high resolution. You had, of course, the usual mesh extract by using some mask, or using UVs to produce some mask based on the textures. It was quite complicated, Okay, now it's okay. I can do my delete hidden. Geometry, modify. I think I have some extra ones. How many of them do I have? No, it's okay. I said modify topology and delete hidden. Okay, now my model is clean. I can do my Boolean operation. Then everything is hidden except these 2 models. Then I can go in my Boolean, make Boolean mesh. And you see it's quite clean, except when you're looking at the topology, of course, a lot of triangles. Now it's a good way, sorry. I just want to copy, go back to my model and pasting it just below. I won't delete yet this model because if I need to update or doing something, it will be easier to start with some existing model than redoing from scratch. Paste it, let me hide everything. And now, how many I have? 1 million of polygons. Ooh, the band won't be very happy with that. Let me switch back to the mask, which is this one. Let me put the other part. Okay, I will deal with that right now, and I will see later for everything else. Like this. Then, like before, I will bend my model. But before bending, I need to be sure that the starting point, which is, you see here, will be okay. And you see, I look at the thickness of my model. I say, oh, what did I say for the size? Something like 2 millimeters. Yeah, 2 millimeters, but when I see this thickness based on the mask, it's quite thick. Then perhaps I will rescale to 1 millimeter. Yeah, not easy. Well, let's keep that safe and let's keep that to 2 millimeters. Okay. And I can move it up, at least to be sure that I will fit, you see, this part here. The bottom one, I think it's not perfectly aligned, but it should be okay. Yeah, I will scale it a little bit down. Not that much, a little bit. Sorry, this is more psychological than anything else, but well. Which is 1.7, okay. Not a big deal. Okay, and like I did before, I will use my gizmo that I will center to my model like this, and I will use my bend arc, you see, like this. Oops, let me just scale my view a little bit. Like this, you see, now I need to stretch, change the radius to see all these holes. And that's a bit more for the radius. What is important is, of course, all this front part, not everything else. And I will do that later, but you see, I need to stretch it vertically to keep these small holes. And I think it's difficult to know if it will be enough or not. I have the feeling that it's very big. I don't know what are your feelings online for that. It fits really, it seems to be very large. And what I can do is, I don't really like to do that, but I think my values are good for now. Of course, everything else I need to clean all these parts, because I just need to have this part all around and have enough space to glue it on my model. Then, oh, you know what? Perhaps I could use that to this black. No, that's not a good idea. Let me validate and go back to my Gizmo 3D. Then I will scale it vertically, and I think I will scale it down slightly, like that. Okay. And next step will be to refine my model to be sure it fits as much as possible my model here. And that's why it's not perfectly rounded. That's why I played a little bit with the radius of my model. Of course, I can stretch a little bit this part, which is also a good alternative. Perhaps I will do a mix of both. This is 3D model and I'm fine with that. Okay, then let's now pick back my move brush and slightly bending this part. And if I have some angle on this part, it won't be that visible. And yeah, I need to keep some gap. And you know what? Yeah, I think I will stretch this part. And I'm stupid because I didn't put my symmetry. Until then, which level? Okay, this one. The X. Oh, just a small tip. I don't know if you know that, but when you press the symmetry mode, when you are on top of your model, so it's not very visible. Okay, I think I was too far, sorry, for this one. Okay, like this. When you are working with the symmetry, to know that if you are enabling the symmetry or not, you see right now my disk for the brush, this red disk, circles, sorry. If you press X or not, notice that you have inside for the external ring of these circles, that you have two lines. Sorry, I can't really show that, but you see just on the border, the boundary, no lines, just one line, no symmetry, two lines. The symmetry is enabled, and it's a quick way to look at your brush to know if your symmetry is enabled or not. And in fact, this is why I noticed I didn't put my symmetry on my model. Okay, like this. Yeah, I will just stretch my model, but I need to be very careful since everything else has been done for the other part, has been subtracted. I really need to be sure that it won't overlap other parts. And the refinement will be done a little bit later by using the Boolean tools. But it seems to be okay, like this. Yep. And to clean my model all around, like that, because you see I don't need to have all these parts, I will be able to use the Boolean tool just to subtract a kind of boundary all around my model. Then I will do that a little bit later, and I will do that probably on offline, just to for a matter of time. But right now what I need is, let me select lasso brush. Just want to keep that, and sorry, this is just a way to see what my model, how it will be, but it will look at something like that. If I pick a black color, very dark, fill objects, you see, like this. If I enable all the colors, I will bring back my droplet material and unhide everything except of course these two stuff. This is what it should look like. Then seems to be okay for me. Okay, then now the fun part will be the splitting of the model. Let me look at the chat quickly. Yeah, exactly. It's not very easy to see in the stream about this symmetry mode, but it's a good tip to know. And yes, it's not, and you see right now I'm enabling or not the symmetry, and you don't see these two circles, this extra circle on the outside of this brush, not the outside, but the boundary of the brush. Why? Because it's visible only when you are on top of your model. You see, I'm on top, I see these two circles. If I'm going outside, I don't see any more of these circles. And because when you are using your brush, you don't see the circles, and it's not always visible. Okay. What I need to do now, of course, is to save my model. this. Okay, then at this stage, for me, I'm done with the 3D model. Of course, I will, and what I will show after, I can put more scratches and refining, because when you look at the model on all the photos I have on the movie poster in the movie, it's way not clean at all. Like I said in the last stream, Darth Vader had a very clean helmet, except in episode 4, 5 and 6, but it's, I mean, in 4, 5 and 6, and of course in episode 3 it's so clean, so polished, but this one, Kylo Ren, is just not dirty, but yeah dirty, a lot of scratch, and for me it's a concern, in fact, to do all the clean, especially the chrome part, to put some kind of dirty stuff. I will try to see. I will do my best. Anyway, just then about this scratch, let me switch back to my gray matte cap and without the painting, just to be quick about how I did all these kind of things. And I don't say it's something perfect, but another reason is I may do some scratch when I will do the post process, because I will print, I will lose some details, I will send, I will lose some details, I will recreate some of them, then that's why it's very difficult to know. Then for all of that, I use few brushes, which are mainly my Orb cracks, mine, why you say mine, it's not mine, this is from Orb's brush, Damp Soda brush, Tissue Superline, which is mine, this one, mainly Trim Dynamic, Edge Polish, and I use some extra brushes, which are in my brush palette that I added myself inside of ZBrush, ZBrush folder located in the root folder of ZBrush. And I have multiple series of brushes, and especially I have these Orbs brushes here, and I use multiple of them. Mainly you see to do this scratch or flatten, or you see all these slash stuff. Then you see where are they? Where are they? Like this one, this is this brush here, or this one. And then about these brushes, let me switch back to Explorer. This is the brushes. You can look at online at Orb brushes for ZBrush, and you will find this store page on Gumroad. And this is for free, of course. I invite you to give more than nothing. A few bucks, it's always very present when you are providing your stuff. Michael Vicente was a presenter last year at ZBrush Summit. Then you may have seen his work already. Then just download them, and it's a great series of brush. Another brush I use is a part of the ZBrushGuides.com series of brushes. Some of them are for free, some of them are commercial brushes. For ZBrush, you have a lot of them, and it's very useful for a lot of type of production. That's why, in fact, when you see some people sharing the brushes, even if you don't know yet what you will do with them, just download them, install them, and thank you very much for the in the chat for Mordakainer for the link for the brush. Sorry. Just download them, install them, and you know, one day it may be very useful to have them. And I mean, these people are professional using ZBrush on a daily basis, every day, for a lot of crazy work. Then that's why just download them. Another reason is to see how they're working. You see this advanced series of brushes for rocks. Of course, I didn't do rocks, but when you want to slash or doing some stuff, it can be very interesting. Then you have a good preview. Then yeah, look at that. Then just for this one, let's say the slash one, I want to modify this one. You see, you click and drag, and you already have some. Okay, sorry, this is the undo. Then to do some scratches like that, it looks nicer and cleaner than trying to use the Damp Soda brush or even the Orb crack, which is nice, but when you're on boundaries like that, you see it's doing something clean, but perhaps not enough for this kind of part. Another thing that you need to consider as well is using the solo mode, because when you are using some brushes while you have other model on top, the other model are working as a mask on the model, and that's why it's very important. Another reason is, let me go back to this brush, this one. It's good to go on the other side and doing the same thing to do kind of continuity. Of course, I didn't do that everywhere, but it's something good to do, like this. Okay, then this is one brush I was using. Of course, it's up to you. Try the other brushes, see what it looks like. You see this slash curve here? Sorry, this is just a kind of line. Then it's great to do all these small scratches like that. And these scratches are very small. You see, you can barely see them on the model. When you are doing some images, it can be very important, especially for the speculars and things like that. For 3D printing, you need to have something which have more depth. If you don't contrast enough your details, the 3D printing process will soften, will smooth a little bit these details. That's why it's important sometimes to do something which maybe be not that nice, in fact, to look at, but which will be great for 3D printing. You need to find the good balance in between. Thank you for all the links that you're sharing. Then like this. And you see for all this border, you can, you see, adding some extra scratches like that. And another thing that you see, I just said before that this part, I just selected this one, but if I want to work on the boundary, this one will work as a mask. You can switch to the transparency mode like this. And because now it's in transparency, you don't have anymore the mask effect for your model. You see, like this. All this kind of small scratch that you can do will give more old, used helmet stuff. And don't forget to, when you are doing this kind of things, don't do the same thing in symmetry. It's more natural than trying to okay, yeah, I understand that working in symmetry is easier and faster, but not a diet. You see, when you are doing some rotation like this, you can do some other type of scratch. And again, you can use different brushes. Then if I go in Lightbox, and which one was it? Let me just try to remember. It was one of the ZBrush Guides Rocks, which was this Canyon Maker, this one. This one is interesting because you see, when you are using your pressure, you see to do this kind of scratches, and it's very nice. And always play with the focal shift as well, which will be harder or softer. And this is what I use for this big scratch here on top. Let me remove the transparency. You see, like this. And these brushes are very nice. I really enjoy them because it gives some kind of alteration. And it's not for rocks, but to give a kind of old look or scratch stuff. It's, yeah, it's very interesting. And like this, you can mix like that. And this brush is very interesting because by default it does very deep marks and scratches, and then for the 3D printing it's way better. And if I want to play a little bit with the painting, you will have different results. I mean, if I'm using, I don't know, if I want to polish my model, then because this is very deep, I won't be able to polish inside of my model. That's why it's very, very important. Okay, if you have some question, of course, just let me know. But now, let's say I consider that my model is done. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you see, there is some, I don't know, some punch on the model here. For that, this is very simple. You can use the Trial Dynamic or the Edge Polish brush. But be careful with that. It's not always very easy to do something which look cool. And you see, just like that, kind of some hammer stuff. You may need to smooth slightly your model if needed, or going lower in resolution if you don't want to have something which is too much marked. Okay, then I really hope the print of that will be okay. I really hope. Yeah, we will see. I will need to find another solution if it doesn't work. I know what I should have done. Too late. I will fix that later. But perhaps I need to do some more cone styles holes to avoid some, perhaps, I don't know for the supports yet. Yeah. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Okay, then done. Like I said before, let me save again. And now, not a very fun part, I'm sorry, which may be very long. What I need to do first is look up. No, I'll do the magnet later. What I will do now will be to split all the parts, trying to see if each part individually at least can be separate from the others. And you can say, oh, Thomas, you already did it. Yes, for some parts. Like I said, this one, just below this one here, is already, let's say, ready to be 3D printed if you compare to this model which is on top, which is, let's say, also ready to be 3D printed. The problem is, again, like I said before, I need to consider my volume size. And on top of that, I have all this part. And if you watch the previous presentation or watch online, I mean, if you follow since the beginnings this model, you know that these parts are separate parts. Of course, for the creation process, but in my mind was also how I will print all of that. And the more part I have, the easier to be to print. The problem is, if you look at them, and if I print them directly, you see they are slightly overlapping. They are not perfectly fitting each other's. And because of that, if I'm printing that and I want to assemble, it won't fit. And I will have some, probably perhaps big differences. And it may be very tricky to fix, because if it doesn't fit, I will try to sand, perhaps I will sand too much, I will lose my details on this area, and that's why it's very, very important to look at that. Then one of the first parts that I need to do in a clean way, from my point of view, perhaps I will notice later that I'm wrong, then perhaps I will fix ideas, but you see this top part, which is a very, very important one. This one will need to be on top of this part on the side. Then, like I said at the beginning, this top part will be just alone. I will split it probably in the middle, in the continuity here, I think, to have two parts, which will be, I think, okay to be fully printed, but I'm afraid that it will be anyway too big for the form 2, which is, oh, it may fit 11, 17 from this one to this one, which is 16. Oh, it may fit in the printer, and this one is, sorry, I'm just 16. Perhaps this one will be too big, and perhaps I need to do 3 parts if I want to be, let's say, secure, because I can do that with the FDM printer, but I will need to sand a lot, and because it's very visible on the front, it may be tricky. But at least before splitting this model in 2 or 3 parts, I need to be sure that it will be perfect for the others. And let me just solo it. Let me solo it. This is this part, and in fact, I want to keep it like this. I don't want to edit it. Meaning that I will need to use that as my foundation, and I will need to use this one to be subtracted from the other model, to remove, let me remove the solo mode. If I want to have this part to be the good one, meaning that I will need to use this model as a negative model to be subtracted from this one. The only other thing I will do is, you see I have this part here, which is on top. Let me hide the top part. You see this one. And this one will be printed by itself alone. Then I will need to use this one as a negative object to be subtracted from this top part. And this is where the organization of your subtool will become very important. And what I will do over the time will be to build a kind of copy of my model and then building another tool which will be the result of my model. You see, just the scan by itself, okay? I will copy it. Now I will go to this model and I will paste it. I can clone it if I want. This is the same thing. Delete. Just to be sure it's a good size, there is no problem between the two ears. I have 1.8. If I go back to my model, if I solo this one, you see this is the same. Let me just slightly move it to be sure, but 1.8. Then no problem with the scale. Then this one is the good one. And each time I will be done with one of my model to be sure, okay, this one is perfect, I will bring it directly here inside. Okay, and you will see that I will swap a lot between these two scenes together. Let me just rename that. Final one. It's just organization. Okay, then because I will duplicate a lot of subtool multiple times, etc., etc. You see it will be quickly a big mess, to be honest. I can hide that one, I can hide the scan here. And like I said, this top one, I want to clean it as much as possible. And I will, okay, sorry, I'm really speaking to myself, but since I'm thinking at the same time, it's not very easy. Then this part will be a big one. Another big one will be this one here all around the back part of the helmet. And this one, again, I will need to split it at least in two parts. It's a big one. Then I need to see, I think I will remove, okay. Then this top part, let me duplicate it. And I'll go just at the end, like that. Then I have my copy, and the original one, I will hide it at least for now. And like I said before, I want to, this part, remove it to this part to be sure it will just fit perfectly. Then this one again, I will duplicate, and this copy, I will move it down, like that. Let me hide everything except this one, which is on, this one, which is below. And now I will switch to negative mode. And what you see right now is a result of my Boolean operation before, of course, generating my model. And what you see is this part just fitting, you see, my model. But you know, when you are doing some 3D print, you have some tolerances to consider. You need to add some gap just in between. And for this gap, what I will do is this model here, let me switch back to positive mode. I will inflate it slightly. And I don't need to have a lot because the SLA printing, because I will do that through SLA, is very, very accurate. Then, but of course, you have some shrinkage. Sorry. Then that's why it's important really to consider all of that. Then, first thing is going to my deformation palette, and I can try this inflate. Let's say 1. And you see it inflated my model by 1 all over the model. But 1 may be a little bit too much. The problem is inflate is going just by integers, then just 1, 2, 3. There is no in-between values. Then how I can put 0.5? There is no way to type it. Then the trick, there is a trick, is going to my morph target palette, and I will store a morph target, saving the state of all the vertices, the position in space. And now we'll go to my deformation palette. I will do my inflate of 1, which is too much. But because I store the morph target before, I can say, oh, I can just play with my morph target slider. 0 is my current state, and if I go up to 100, it's going back to the original state, which was before the inflate. And if I go to 50, I will be at half of the value from my inflate. Of course, you don't always need to do that, but based on the scale, if your value is too big, just keep in mind that, okay, I can do morph target, and after I can play with the value between and after in terms of value. Backband report. Okay. Then it's okay now. I can go back to my subtools and I can switch back to negative model. Okay. And now for the negative model, I see that I still have this kind of boundaries like this, and way more important, this kind of just very thin part. For me, this is a big problem. I need to be very careful with that. Then how I can fix that? You see, I have my multiple levels of subdivisions. Nothing prevents me to switch back to polyframe mode on this model, like this, and just using my move brush with my different level of subdivisions, and because this is a live Boolean, I can slightly move them inside just to reduce the thickness. And by removing the thickness, let me now remove the polyframe like this. You see, just slightly. By reducing the thickness, my model will be less thick as it was before, and then it's less thicker than the model which is subtracted. Or you can eventually smooth your model if you want. And like before, I didn't put my symmetry, which is not smart at all, since my model is symmetrical. Or you can switch back here and say, oh, I want to eventually going more inside. Take care of the size of your brush, because if your brush is too big, that you can modify on one side and affecting perhaps the other side, then be very careful with that. Why my move brush is not... I say, why my move brush is not affecting my model? Yeah, it was not the move brush. You see, I'm affecting the other side of my model, which is not a good idea. And if you want to be very safe with that, you see, I don't like this kind of very thin artifact. Then I prefer just slightly moving my vertices. I can polish that after for the 3D printing, but again, I don't want to really affect my model. And what I will do anyway, at least when my model will be done, ready to be 3D printed, let's say, will be to switch to Dynamesh and just smoothing the boundaries of my model. Okay, come on, save. Yeah, after my Boolean operation, I will do that. But now at least I want to remove as much as possible all this kind of small artifacts. I'm smoothing slightly, like this. And you see, yeah, it's not very, let's say, creative to do this kind of steps. But when you are considering what it was before, I mean, it's so much better now, by far. You see this one, at least I need to slightly move that down as well. Okay, then this one is okay. Now what I want to do is to remove the bottom part, which is, let me go back, where are you? This one. Okay, then I will do the same process. I will duplicate this one. Use the copy at the end, negative mode, and now I see what is my current result. Like that. Then that, I'm not a big fan of that. Let me just slightly move like this to avoid those kind of scratches. All these boundaries thing, that the more you fix now, the less painful it will be later. You see, when I say it's not very funny. And the bottom part won't be visible, and it's not a big deal. This is inside of the helmet. Oops. Need to be very careful with this smoothing brush. But right now this is the easiest part, to be honest. The internal part for the mask will be more tricky to do. Yeah, I will polish internally after my model, and for that one here, okay, by doing that I'm reducing the areas which are connected to the model. But these gaps will let me just have a clean area, which should be okay, or perhaps not that much. Perhaps it was a bit too much, because I want to have a kind of clean connection at least. Okay, meaning lessening. Then this part, technically speaking, except the splitting in multiple parts for 3D printing process by itself, is done. Then I can say to ZBrush, okay, this one, it's okay, please process the Boolean operations. Then let me switch to the highest level of subdivision, and like before, make Boolean mesh. Okay, then I'm sorry, it took in fact quite some time to do the Boolean operation, and I stopped talking because my CPU was at 100% and the streaming was kinda just frozen. Then you should be back for you, because this Boolean operation is a mix of 3.6 million of polygons with 5 millions with 11 millions of polygons. That's why it took something like 2 or 3 minutes, but I mean, it's 16, it's almost 20 millions of polygons which has been produced as a Boolean operation. And yeah, ZBrush is using 100% of the CPU as much as possible. And no, sorry, no time for a new CPU. In fact, it's already a new CPU that I'm using for my model. Yeah, I have just a question just before for Model Kainer. Would be good idea to activate the backface mask to avoid deforming backside of of the model when using big brushes. Yes and no. In fact, it depends of what I'm doing. When I'm working with some brushes, like doing some details or masking, and I want to work just on visible parts, yes, definitely I'm using the backface masking, which is located in brushes, auto masking. For those who don't know what it is, not modifier, sorry, auto masking, and here, and you have the backface masking, which is an automatic system for masking the object. But when I'm doing this kind of modifications, especially using the move brush, it's for me it's not something I'm like doing. Then I prefer using the smooth brush and move brush with smaller radius, spending a little bit of more time. And another reason is most of the time I'm forgetting the backface masking when I'm enabling it. And after I'm noticing that, oh shit, I did that, and I leave the setting. And sometimes it can be very tricky because you see my model have a constant thickness, and I want to keep this constant thickness as much as possible, meaning that if I'm pushing inside, let's say for something, I want to have everything going inside. Of course, depending of what you want to do. Then that's why I prefer going that way. Anyway, let me switch back to my model which has been generated, which is a final Boolean operation, which is 3 millions of polygons. And you see this is the result, like that. And like I said before, I will dynamesh everything, but more at the end if I need. For now, I leave this model like it is. I will copy it, go back in my final scene, and I will paste it like that. Then this model is okay. Speaking of model which is done, like I said before, I don't know yet, this one should be final. Why I don't see it? It's negative, no? Yeah, and why? Okay, then this one is, I have two models, okay. This one is the final one. Then I won't do anything on it except perhaps splitting it, but I won't remove, reduce, nothing else. Let me just go back to this one. I prefer using this one. I can copy it and go back to this one, and I can paste it. Okay. Then this one are good. Also, I said that this bottom part, I need to keep it as clean as possible. Then let me just go back to this one, like this. And if I unhide everything like it was before, okay, I have this one, and you see I have this boundary in between for these two objects, like that. Let me remove the symmetry. And this one, okay, let's sorry, let me just look at this one. Let me move it up, negative, start group, this one, and live Boolean. Okay, and let me hide everything else, which is just below. Okay, and go back here. Let me hide that one. Okay, I have this one and this one, these two models. Okay, and if this one I put that as a negative, this is what I have right now. And except this small part, which is perhaps a little bit too visible, I think it's okay. The other one should fit perfectly. Or the other thing I can do is doing the opposite, meaning that I want to keep that as is as much as possible. Okay, and I don't want to remove this part, but I want to do the opposite, meaning that I want to have this one, oops, sorry, this one on bottom, this one on top, not a start group, but this one being negative. And you see subtracting that one. Or another alternative is I can move this one just slightly to reduce as much as possible, you see, this shape like that, like this, and working as well for this one and say, oh, I want to move it slightly like that. Okay, can do the same for the other side. It's a mix of modifying both of them, little bit like this, and this one I can move it as well a little bit. Like that. Now let me switch back to the full mode, and you see I won't need to use the Boolean operation. These models are just on top of each other, not being connected, not touching. They are just on the good position, each of them. Then I won't need to do Boolean operation, at least for this part. That's why I really love using this Boolean tool, because I can see if a part is overlapping another one or not, and then slightly moving them just a little bit to be sure they are just on front of each other. And even if now it doesn't fit perfectly, I won't be able anyway to sand slightly and not that much just to fit my model without any kind of issues with all of that. Okay, like this. Then for me this part is good. I won't do anything else with this one. Then I can copy it like before, going back to my model and paste it like this. And all these parts are good. Now what remains to be done is this part and this part. And after, of course, I will switch to the front part. Okay. UV question. And yes, Sechi, I'm French. That's why I have this weird accent. UV question. When I flatten my UVs and then I try to pull and push with move brush to even and topology tension, when I unflatten, but right back to the way it was after I sculpt. Something that you may do as a mistake. It's not very easy to answer your question without looking at your model, of course. But when you are flattening and unflattening your model, let me, sorry, this is for this off topic, but while I can answer this one, let's do that. Let me load this demo head with like Boolean, Lightbox. When you are doing UVs, oh, oops, sorry. Very important. Let me save first because I don't know what could happen. Come on, save, save, save. Now files will be way bigger for me because I have this Boolean operation, which are millions of raw polygons, with multiple subtools, a remesh, etc. Then maybe tricky. Then I have my model. Let me remove the eyes, which I don't care. Okay, and let me open my Z plugin palette and opening UV master. Then I have my UVs, and let me to do something different. Let me just adding some polygroups like that, like this. Okay, I don't really care, but what I want to do is to work with polygroups, and by doing that I will have multiple UV islands. And I'm a rapid. And if I'm using the flatten mode, okay, shit. Sorry, I need to remove my subdivision levels. That's why you are working with a clone most of the time, which is creating a copy. Not work on clone, sorry, flatten. And this is the result I have for my my grids. Let me draw, fill mode 0. Okay. What is very important is this grid is your UV space between 0 and 1. And what you're doing with your UVs must remain in this grid. If you are flattening, let's say you are moving your brush, something like that, it will just screw up what you're doing. Then if you are just relaxing your models like this, let me just relaxing, and why not moving something just weird, but just to have something which is different, like this one, like this. Normally, if you unflatten and then flatten back, you see, I still have my stretch. I moved, in fact, what you see right now are your UVs. Then everything you're doing in ZBrush, sculpting brushes, of course not adding more, but if you can even use the Z-modeler brush to add some deformations, but you need to be strictly inside of this grid, and I mean strictly inside, not on the boundary, just exactly on the line. I mean you need to be between 0 and 1, and not strictly on 0 or on 1 of this UV space. And I don't know if it's answer your question or not. But at least for me it's working for this model. Then just ZBrush, just send me an email or a message if you have something which doesn't work, and I can look at that. Okay, then let's just go back to what I was doing before. Let me delete that because I don't need it. Okay, and let me go back to my model. Okay, then let me finish with the other parts. I need to work on that one and this one. Okay. Then these two parts, and don't forget that, oh, I will duplicate for this one. Very important. I will duplicate and I will work with these, what I did at the end, all these temporary models, because I need to work on this one, which is on front here, and this one on top that I will edit to remove and splitting all this part. Then this one are okay, and I will duplicate then this one, duplicate, going at the end, and the other one which is on front. Then I need to work on both of them. Yes, save ZBrush, please save. Okay, then let's start with this one, just on the back of the model. This one will be my starting point. Then I put my start group, and what I will need to do is this part won't move. Then I need to edit this one to fit this one, and this one I will use that as a negative model. Let me bring back the live Boolean mode, and you see, I see right away this cut part, and I still have this part visible. Okay, you see, this one has been removed. I need to remove the one which is below. Why? No, sorry. This part has been removed as well, and this one again I won't modify it. I already did some modifications. I won't edit this one. Okay, meaning that I need to edit that one, and again this one I will subtract it. Then this is right now what I have for this model, of course on both sides, if I remove everything around. Then I have some part that I can edit, but not the top part and not the bottom one. Remember, because this part won't be modified. Okay, then if I go to this one, let me just go back in subdivision levels to have more freedom for my modifications. I can already start to move it slightly without the symmetry, probably, and like that I can at least start to see moving up. Yeah, I know it's time consuming, but need to be done. It's not always the best part to do, to be honest, but And I'm fine, in fact, by keeping this kind of edges all around, but at least I want to avoid this kind of artifact I have here. But this one will be tricky. Because you see, if I'm going down, 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 like that, now there is no boundaries, but if I bring back everything, especially this one on the bottom, this is the type of scratch that I will have. And it's not very nice. Then probably I will need to sculpt slightly on all of these areas. Because I need to have these lines not being so much visible, but if I have these boundaries which are way too much visible, it may be problematic. I don't know if it makes sense or not. Inside I don't care at all. I can smooth if I want slightly. But I will do a Boolean operation. I won't try like before to fit everything because I really want to have this gap, and I will need to not glue, but I want to snap it at least slightly. It will work as a guide. This. Not that much. I want to. And you know, when you are creating this kind of shapes, I mean, for this purpose of 3D printing, you are spending quite some time on all this preparation work. That's, yeah, a lot of steps, really a lot of steps, which, like I said before, are not that creative, but they are really needed. And now it's so much easier to do this kind of stuff than before. The good thing about smoothing, of course, it will just relax. And no, yes, no. And when you are doing that, of course, you need to redo it on the other side. And always go back to the mode with when it's not negative to see what the result will look like. If you still see the gap or not, because sometimes just moving slightly your model won't change anything to the visual aspect of your model, but will avoid some Boolean operations or things like that. Yeah, for me it's a really game changer, this live Boolean mode. See, fixing this kind of problem was just a pain before, really a pain. What I will do is I will just do this side and I will continue for all the other parts because I don't want to spend too much time because this is always the same. But I need to work on other parts, like on the front part of the helmet, the visor, and all these parts which are more tricky in fact to do. And anyway, I will fix that with the Dynamesh later. Let me just do the, well, yeah. I think yes, I will do anyway the other part quickly. Which is, yeah. Because when I will generate the final model and then using Dynamesh at the end to fix everything, of course Dynamesh with a very high resolution, it will be faster to fix, especially all of these small artifacts, which are the trickiest one to deal with. Okay, this is good for this one. This one will just slightly move that. Okay, like this. And the one below has negative model, and it should be quickly done. I will just do, for this one I will do a test, just to switch to Dynamesh and see what is the result. Like that it will be a good preview of what will happen for everything else. Because again, I will do some part just offline. Or perhaps to my own channel after this stream. If you want to continue with me, but I don't know yet, it will depend on which time, at what time I will just end stream. Yeah, it's boring, it's not really it's not appealing. But I think it was important to really show you all the steps. And it's not that difficult to do this kind of cosplay stuff now. I mean, with 3D printing, with software like ZBrush, or even ZBrush Core. Yeah, I have live Boolean with ZBrush, which is of course not in ZBrush Core, but yeah, you can do quite some stuff with it. Okay, this one is okay. I want to keep the Boolean for this part, but like I said before, I want to have, because this part will just overlap slightly, you see on this one, I want to add some gap, little bit of gap, not that much. And since this one is a good one, I will then inflate the top one, which is here, you see this one, just slightly, but even smaller than before, something like 0.3 or just slightly. Then I go, oh, let me just make that visible. Like before, I will do my morph targets. I was looking at it, store morph targets, and now deformation, inflate of 1. Oh, no, I think 1 is enough for that. I think 1 is enough. And no need of my morph targets. And as a -1, then it's okay for this one. And this one as well, I will inflate deformation of just 1. Seems to be bigger for that one. I don't really like that. Yeah, I will stick with that. I think, yeah, 1. Yeah, because I'm concerned with that, but when you think of the scale of this part, it's not that a big deal. Then let's skip this one. And this one as well on front. Tool, deformation, deformation. I need to do a macro for that. Okay, then this model is ready. I can increase its resolution to be at the maximum, and I'm starting to be concerned about the modifications because I don't need that one. This one on top. Okay. I have almost 3 millions, 11 millions, then 2.6 million. That's quite a lot. Then it will just it will be too much. Then what I can do for this one, I can reduce of 1 level of subdivision. I just did it now, and you see with, without, and now with the new one, we don't see the difference. Then I don't need to have so many polygons. And for the bottom one, same thing. In fact, all the -1, I can go down in one level, and even the second one, I don't see the difference. And now I have 700,000 polygons, while before it was 11 millions. Then it's always faster to do this Boolean operation with less polygons. And for that one, same, just one level, and it's enough. Okay, and now we'll do my Boolean operation. And perhaps, sorry, if it just slow down the stream. Okay, then let me just answer one question, because yeah, this stream is not very visible for now. I mean, visually interesting, sorry. I'm working on this Kylo Ren helmet. Let me just put everything back in place. Just like this. Not that one. See, this is what I'm doing right now. Then just in a few words, this is for cosplay. The idea is to 3D print this model that I already started to do some tests, and of course building everything and being able to wear this helmet head. And to be honest, I spent quite some time looking online about which helmet was available just to purchase, and there are very crappy toys which are not that cheap, or high-end helmets, but which are good, nice, but I think we can do better. My only concern is more the painting job, where I'm not a professional, but I'm not a famous cosplayer at all. I'm sorry. And in terms of number of millions, right now, yes, I have 61 millions of polygons for this model, which is, yeah, it looks to be impressive, but you know, since I'm duplicating some models, I have more and more copies of my model, and when you have one model which is already 11 millions of polygons, when you are duplicating your model, it's already 22. Then don't really look at these numbers. It's really not a big deal at all. For my 2B characters did for the last stream, it was 148 millions of polygons at the maximum, while I was doing all this Boolean operation. And ZBrush is perfectly able to handle that. Whatever is just to display, to manipulate, to sculpt, and I mean not on a very high-end computer, on a regular computer, it's fine. If you have a good gaming computer, it's even better. For my computer right now, I have an Intel i7-7770K, which is not overclocked. I have just 16 GB of RAM. I should have 32, but I have two two RAM stick, I don't know the name in English, which are just faulty, then I'm done with that. I need to order new ones, but 4 new ones, it's a problematic, which are very speedy. And I have working on SSD drives, but I mean, it's a good computer, but not something which is very high-end. I have a Ryzen computer which with a Ryzen 1700 processor, which is a good one as well, but yeah, it's working fine. Okay, then this part, yeah, the Boolean survived. In fact, the Boolean is working pretty well on very dense models, but it's using a lot of CPU when it's doing the operation. Okay, then this one seems to be good. Then I can copy it and go back to my final model. Then I can paste it. Okay, like this. Next part, of course, will be this one here. Then to do this other parts, I can go back to where are you? No. Okay, this one. You remember I did an inflate on it. Let me undo my inflate. I don't really see the difference. I did an inflate, correct? Why I don't see the difference? I think I did twice an inflate. Well, not a big deal, not a big deal. Then this one is okay. I have on top, you see this one now will be the good one. Then let me restart this one on top, but this one will be the start group. Remove that one and save. Thank you, ZBrush. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I'm afraid about the heat inside of this helmet. Yeah, it may be problematic, but you know, I will have enough room in between, and I don't think I will wear it for hours and hours. I will do one, not a presentation by myself, but I will help Chivong for one of his presentations during the summit. Perhaps I will come with it, but yeah, I won't do the whole presentation with it, definitely. For the process so far, I did, this is my 4th stream, if I'm correct, and it has been something like 4 hours per stream so far, between 3 and 4 hours. The first one was 3 hours, I think, and the second and third have been 4 hours, then yeah, it's something 11, 12 hours. Then today I did a little bit by myself, but not that much, in fact. Then no, yeah, I mean, you can do something very good in something like 20 hours. It's doable. Okay, then this one, I need to remove that one and remove this front part, which should be okay, now as a negative. Okay, now I have all this part done. I just need to refine slightly this one, but even that one, you see, I could say, oh, I can move that just to flatten everything, but I will keep it like this because I really want to have the top part just fitting perfectly on top of this one. And the top one, you remember, for the other part, I already did an inflate, and I don't need to do an inflate anymore. This one is good. The only thing is I need to do an inflate of that one just to be removed from this one. Then this one, I will use that as a negative model, like before. And yeah, it seems to be almost okay for everything. I perhaps move it a little bit. Like this, but it's not a big deal. Like that. But oh, I need to inflate this one, this negative part first, before doing it. Then can remove one level, deformation, inflate, just one, like this. Go back to being a negative model, like this. Yeah, I will stick it. Yeah, my only concern is more these, you see this part which are very, very thin. I need to, yeah, just slightly, and I just put the symmetry because I want to do kind of clean. It won't be very clean, but as clean as possible, or at least, oops. You know what? I'm not editing the good one. Okay, inflate. Yeah, this one. Sorry. Put back my symmetry. Like this. You see this boundary here? I want to keep that. I want to keep this boundary here, but I want to avoid this long shape. You have some scratch here. Yeah. Okay, Boolean should be okay. Let me look at the top. This one. Yep. Perhaps a corner here. Okay, like this. And what I can do is just increase this part. Why? Because it will help me to snap the other part. Let me just edit the back part. Dynamesh will help all that. Okay, let's do my Boolean operations. Yeah, I need to clean, you see, these kind of shapes. Okay, anyway, then Boolean, this part here, I don't need to have all these polygons. How many I will keep? 7,000, sorry. Okay, then let's Boolean that. I hope it will be fast like before. Yeah, of course, I don't think I will just keep it on my head a lot of time, I mean a long time, because, well, first of all, it's very hot in Los Angeles. At the summit, we are quite a lot in the room, even if we have some good air cooling, but yeah, it's maybe tricky to wear it for a very long time. Okay, then Boolean are good. Copy. I'm so surprised about not having more Boolean errors. I don't mean crash or things like that, but you know, Booleans are very strict in terms of topology, and luckily the cleaning tools inside of ZBrush for the Boolean, in fact, when you are using the Boolean operation in ZBrush, you see these gaps. It may be maybe too big. Yeah, you see, I may need to, I think I have too much gap. What is so large? Let me look at that at this scale. Yeah, this one is good, but why this one is so big? This one is okay, because I'm expecting to have this kind of gap, but this one is quite big. I think I did, because of this, I did twice this inflate for the other one. This is quite a lot. And why do I have that one? Sorry, I'm looking at the model at the same time. You know what? I will redo it because I have quite some large boundaries, and I will remove how can I say that? The inflate in between. You see, because all of that seems to be okay, but that one is way too thick. I have too much thickness. Then I will delete it. I will go back to my model here, and for that one, this one, sorry, let me remove the, okay, you see thickness here. Let's redo it. Okay, negative, 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 because it was just only this one. Live Boolean, like this. Sorry to repeat these operations. Okay, and just to answer your comment, Doug, about possibly renting it and then earn my airfare back to France. I mean, it's not my interest, and I don't want to do business with these kind of things. But you know, to do, I mean, this is what they're doing now for movies, and to do all these props with 3D printing and ZBrush, and not only ZBrush, of course, but ZBrush is a big part of this process. But I mean, yeah, for all these cosplayers are doing a lot of things, you can do so many things now, and I think you can do some business with that. Yeah, definitely. It was this one or this one. Which one was a good one? Should be this one, I guess. Yes, this one. Copy, go back here, and then paste it. Yes, it's better that way. But it's still quite big. I don't know why I have this huge gap in between. But yeah, it should be okay anyway with all this thing. And yeah, give me some tolerances, which is not that bad. Yeah, I have way more. Yeah. What I don't, you see, I don't really understand what is it. It's difficult for me to view what is happening inside. And to really see inside of my model, what I will do, I will insert a big cube like this, put that as a negative model, and now let me move it all around my shape. Let me just change the scale like this, and you see I can now control what is happening. And why I have some negative space like that? Oh, I know why. I know why. I'm stupid. I'm really stupid because I'm doing a negative of this one over this one, and after this one over this one. I'm really stupid. While everything else is okay. In fact, I did a negative on one side and negative on the other side. This is why it's problematic. And you see, this is a good way to see, based on my scan of my head, if it's fitting. And you see just perfectly fitting. And you see, oh no, it's there is some overlap. Don't forget that when I scan, there is a volume of your hairs, but when you are wearing the helmet, of course, it will just fit perfectly on your head. And you see it's perfect. You see my ears are just on the boundaries, but of course they will just be very close like that. You see, that's why using this Boolean are very, very useful tools. Okay, let me just put back as a negative. Then I need to compute again this model. I'm sorry, but at least I can see my mistakes. Let me delete this one, because I don't need them as temporary models, which are quite heavy. And this one. See, that's quite a lot of polygon. This one is 1,000,005. Yeah. Okay, then I'm quite stupid because for this one on top, this one, I don't need it, in fact. Yeah. Because I already subtract it. before. This one has subtract to the other one. And now I can do my Boolean operation for the first time. Okay, done. Now it should be okay. I hope. Go back here, here, and past it. Okay, now it looks good. Yeah, we see the small gap now, you see, which is what I was looking for. Perfect. See, this one is already 25 millions of polygons, which is quite a lot. Let me save this project. Let me just delete this one. Go back to that one. And so let me think about what I can delete for now. Let me remove live Boolean. Then this one is done. I don't need it. Oh yes, no, I need. I still need it. This one I can delete it. Delete. The top one I can delete it. Okay. This one. I will keep it for now at least. Then I still need this one because there is another piece that I need to consider is this one. And not this one, sorry. This one. You see? And this one will need to fit, to be removed from that one. Then this one needs to be as a negative that I can use directly with this one here. Okay, let me just start with that. As negative, live Boolean, and this is what I have so far. Okay, I will slightly edit this one just to increase this connection surfaces. No, no, this is a good one, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking I was editing the other one. Okay, that way. And I think this is the only one which is connecting to this model. Sorry, I'm thinking at the same time, which is not always easy for me. Let me put everything back just to see what is connected or not. I don't need to have everything, but at least I will check and ensure I won't forget something, because as soon as I will start the 3D printing process, it will be tricky, in fact, to go back to what I will do. Okay, then this one I have, then this one, then this part which is removed from that one, and this one. Okay, then 1 and 2. Then this one needs to be duplicated to be removed from this one. Let me duplicate, go back to this one as a negative model. Okay, then this one will be removed, this one will be removed. 1, 2, okay, and this one as well will be removed. I need to duplicate. You see, it's a lot of duplicate and checking which model I need to use. This one as well. And now it should be enough. You see, that's very tricky. Let me hide everything else. Font one, this one, then start group, which is 4 elements, and this one I can hide them. Okay, you see, this is what I have so far for my model. This is where the part will be connected. Then I don't like this kind of, you see, this kind of not key, but I need to be very careful to be sure it will really fit. But on the other side, the good thing is it will help snap everything together. Then when I will glue, I will have way more contact surfaces. Then for this one, I don't know which part is it. Not that one. This is, I guess, this one. Yes, exactly. You see, this is this part, and on top of that, we'll have this chrome part, which will be just connecting here. This part, like before, what I will do, no, I don't want to subdivide. I will inflate it slightly. I really need to have a gap for this one. Oh, it won't fit. I'm pretty sure on that. Then deformation, inflate, like this. Subtool as my negative model. Okay, now it's perfect. And I have the front mask as well that I will inflate. Deformation. It's always better to have a little bit of gap and then trying to fill after with some putty than trying to sand for hours your model. And trust me, sanding takes quite some time, even if you have a lot of tools. Def inflate. I'm always looking for inflate. Okay. Like this is okay. Subtool. Now I can generate just these parts. Like this. Then I have this one. Okay, this one negative. Sorry, I'm just reducing my subdivision levels of subdivision, but that's okay now. For this one, I can doing my Boolean operation. Okay. You see, by just removing 1 or 2 levels of subdivisions, it's way faster. Ah, shit. Yeah, small key. Sorry, I didn't look at the other side. Okay, save ZBrush, save. Oh, while we are looking at this save project file in progress, don't forget that if you go in preferences, you go in quick save, you have here the skip history. When the quick save, the auto saving is triggered by ZBrush. If you have a skip history, it will just save the project, but without the history. Most of the time, what is taking a lot of space of file size is the history. And when you're doing a lot of booleans, dynamic update, projections, working with layers, it's using a lot of, all these vertices are moved and it's using a lot of memory in terms of undo history. Then for the quick save, if you are like me using the file save as or the tool save as to save your files and just using the quick save as a backup, but not your main way of saving, just keep the history. This is a good thing to do. Okay, then sorry for this talk. Now I can, like before, copy, go back to my project and paste it like this. Okay, then this one is done. Let's do the front mask, which shouldn't have a lot of things to do. What I mean about the front mask is this part, this one. Like this. This one, in fact, I don't think I'll do anything on... sorry, let me think. I say I won't do anything on it, but yes, I probably do something on it. What I need to do is working with, you see, these meshes, which are all connected together. And even just this one. Just to help me working on some models. And I will remove my start group for this one, this one, this one, and this one. And I will bring back my cube. Then just below that one, I will insert this cube as a negative model, and I will move it just to see which parts are in contact. It's just a way to preview, and you see the front part of the helmet, of the mask, is connected to nothing. It's just floating. Then we need later to add some kind of connector or something like that. But this second layer of the front part of the mask, the background layer, is connected to this model that we subtract before, but almost all along it's connected to that one, meaning that I will need to remove this one from this one before exporting my model. And then I have just behind, you remember this kind of layer just to hide some parts, which is just below, and it's slightly connected, not everywhere. Yeah, just a bit on top. And you know what? When I did this jaw part here, I should have removed this part, which I didn't do. Shit. You see, this part here is just inside the jaw like that. Or well, what I can do without the need to redo everything, let me draw, and using my move brush, just trying to fit like this. Sorry, it's just a trick because I don't want to redo everything. Yeah, no, I think I will have to do it. Ah, shit! Sorry for being vulgar, saying some bad words. Oh, I think I can do it without. Anyway, I will paint, in fact, this part later, and this part inside in black. And since it will be just one part together, perhaps I will fill these holes. I don't need to spend quite some time. What is this one? Oh no, this is just, I thought it was some overlapping part. Okay, then. Sorry, I'm just adding some polygons. And like I said before, you know what? What I will do is this part, these two parts here, I won't use the Boolean operation to remove them, but I will create later in the second file, this one I'm building right now. When I will split this part, I will create some connectors just to make them plugging inside of the model. Like that, they won't touch it. Meaning that if I'm using my big cube, I can, where are you, my cube? See, I will just fix layers by layers. You see, at this stage, just down, there is no connection. You see, I'm looking at that right now, this one. No connection, slightly some connection. Then I can use my move, oh, sorry, my, where are you? My move brush just to slightly move it. Not my cube. Come on, it's not my cube I want to move. This is this one. Like this. I can go back to my cube, moving up. Yeah, no, I think I will need to do it anyway. Because there is some overlapping almost everywhere. Why this one is still, I know why. Okay, sorry, I did not understood why I did not understand. Sorry, why I had this part visible. Okay, like this, still no connection. You see, it's very close. It's because I clicked on this arrow. Still no connection. No connection on top. Here. At least for this one it's okay. I need to fix just on top and in between. And I guess it will be okay now. No, not okay. Then by doing that, I know at least that this internal part is fine. Then I can just copy it already, go back to my model and paste it. Okay, this one is done. And this, I can go back to my mask. This one. Then I can hide it. I don't need it anymore. And for this one, let me hide my cube because I don't need it. This one, I don't need it, but I know it's not connected. Remember, it's connected to nothing. Then I can copy it already, go back here and paste it. I have nothing to do on this one, except connecting to the part which will be just behind, but it's another stage. Okay. You see, it's pretty. I will be done very soon. In fact, which part was here? Oh, yes, I know. Sorry, the part I'm working on right now. Okay, this one. Then let me hide that one, and this one. I need to have this one being removed. Then let me duplicate this part. I go back here, this is -1, okay, like this, and I think that's all, if I'm not wrong. See, this part has been removed. Okay, and same as before, I will do a small inflate. Deformation, come on, deformation, inflate, and I can do my Boolean operation, subtools. Let me just remove one level of subdivision, and you remember this part are good on top. This one, it's going, oh, you know what, I forgot to remove this part here to the other one, shit. There is so many parts to consider right now. Anyway, this is this mask, I just duplicated it, yeah, this one here. I don't want to inflate it. Okay, and this one has been inflated. Okay. I don't need it to be a start group. This is only what it is visible right now. Then Boolean. I'm waiting while It's already done. Okay, copy. And then let me just look at, for this one here, when I'm pasting it, you see what I forget to do is, you see this part here need to be removed from that one. You see, this one should be having this one being removed, and this one should be having this part being removed. Right now, if I'm solo this mode, you see this part, you see, they haven't been removed. Then what I will do is, right now, I will do it because I'm afraid about forgetting about it. Then a Boolean operation of a Boolean operation should be fine. Then this one, so, and you see now I'm working inside of this final model. That's why I don't like doing it. Yeah, I'm sorry to have forgotten this part. It's stupid of me. Oh, sorry. Before forgetting, I will also copy the other part, which should fit now. Sorry. This front part, which is not this one, but this one. Why I don't see it? Come on. Let me copy. Okay. Should have my small gap. Yeah, you see, we see the gap right now here. Then I'm almost done, you see, with all these parts in terms of preparation, but all the parts sticking together. And it's already 2 hours and 30 minutes just to do that. And what is this part? Okay, the inside one. Okay, then, like I said before, I need to remove this one from this one. And this one, again, I need to have a small gap. Then I will duplicate it already as a negative, and let me rename that with gap. I know it's a temporary one. Okay, and I need to remove it from this one and that one. These two models. Then let me, oh, oops. Gap, where are you, gap? Gap. This one, then one start group with this one below, and the other one is that one, and I have this gap just below. Let me duplicate it. Start group, let me hide everything. Just to avoid doing some start group, I mean, some Boolean operation for nothing. Okay, this two one. When I did my gap, I forgot to do, shit. Sorry. It's doing that because of the start group. Let me remove the start group. I don't need it as a start group. Why? Negative, and this one has a negative. Okay, you see, I have the result here, and shit. I have this problem here. Then that's why it's important to fix that right now, right away. Then for this back part, let me just look at something, because when I did the gap, I didn't do the inflate. So I forgot about doing that. So it's late, and it's been almost 3 days. I'm not sleeping, then I'm doing some mistakes. Okay, my inflate is done for the first gap, and the second gap I need also as well to do this inflate, deformation and inflate. Okay, done. Subtool, and I need anyway to do this start group. I have no choice, or this operation will work on top of each other. Okay, then like I said before, I have this kind of small artifact which is not good at all. Then for this one, this back part, it's very important to fix this issue right now by just moving it inside of the Boolean operation. Then it will be removed, and same for this one, and now just disappeared. And then I can do my Boolean operation now. Then I have two start groups. I can do my make Boolean operation. Okay, I'm sorry. In fact, I stopped talking during the Boolean operation because yeah, it's I'm very concerned about the stream by itself. Okay, now I have my two parts which has been done, this one and this one, and I should have my small gap in between that I see here, and this part has been removed. Like that I will be able to connect everything, which is for me very good. Okay, and I still keep in mind about my magnets for later, but well, I can copy this one going here and fixing. Now I can insert, paste it. Then I have this one and this one. I don't need any more these Boolean operations. Then I can delete it. Okay, this one, the gap, I can delete, not delete all, delete it. Okay, then go back to that one, copy this one, copy, going back, and for the other group, I can just go on top of this one, paste it. Yes, save ZBrush, save. Yeah, that's quite some data to save, because between two projects, that's quite a lot of polygons, and paste it. Okay, now I can delete this one and delete this one. And you see, I could click on this skip not until the next restart of ZBrush. I'm not doing that because since you can't undo your, when you're deleting, you can't undo this operation. It's very important to be sure that you are deleting the good subtool. Especially if you don't save before. Okay, I can remove these start groups that I don't need anymore. And I can unhide everything except this cube. Okay, then what do I forget now? There's the front part, this one, this one, this one, this one in the back. I think I have everything now, correct? The only thing which is missing is this visor area. In fact, I'm really concerned about the eyes and the position. I think I will need to tilt slightly. It's very difficult to anticipate the height of the model. Then for this visor, which is, I think, the last part I need to do. Let me think. Yes, I think I have everything right now. Sorry, I find it weird that I have everything done. Yeah, we need to refine, you see. Yeah, I need to make that a bit closer, I guess. It's too far. Oh, you know what? Perhaps I will just, you know what? Yeah, no. I will keep that just as a visual indicator, and I will put some fabrics or something like that, some tissues, not tissues, but some fabrics, black tissues, just to hide, and I will glue it. Because, yeah, I'm afraid that it will be more problematic than anything else, just for these parts. You see, let me just put that back in black, in gray, fill object. You see this part, I can tweak with some fabrics, won't spend some time on that. Okay, now the visor, which is slightly tricky because of all these small dots and things like that. I won't be able to use Dynamesh or with very crazy resolution. Then these parts. Then I have this visor. Where are you, visor? This one. Where are you? Okay, here. And I don't care about everything else. Let's put that. Okay. You see, I need to clean everything like that, having some clean operation for that. Not very easy. And I need to be sure that it will be on the good location for that. Then I will tweak. Let me unhide everything, just these parts. Okay, and I will simply use a mesh extract of everything, just to be sure it will be over all the part. But like this, I can go to this mask area, I can solo it, and I will simply draw a mask, at least quickly, which is the area that I need to clean. I will do that in multiple parts. Okay, then I have the boundary, but I need to have, of course, a little bit of, I don't want to cut everything just on this area. I need to have quite some gap in between, just because I will need to glue, and sure, because it won't be exactly on the, it won't touch on this area, but more on this area. I need to have some enough space to glue that. I just want to create some material. I have the thickness, shit. This is where it's important to use the backface masking for this kind of shapes. And what I need is just some polygons. After I will work on these areas just to build the negative part to remove. You will see. I know it's perhaps not very explicit for now. Then when you are doing your mesh extract, let me go back in my subtools, and you have the extract sign, which is below extract, and you can click on this extract button, which will do the preview of your model. Okay, that way. I need to take care, but you see this kind of artifact like that. Why do I have this artifact? Just want to see that one. Okay, sorry. Extract. You see, all of that is just a little bit of masking, which is all around. Let me remove that one. A good trick is to blur your mask, and after sharpening your mask like this, to have something which is a bit cleaner. And extract, You see now I don't have any more these artifacts. Extract, it's okay. And now if I go to the other side, and you see I remove this double because I don't want to have my extract on the other side. Okay, let's accept it, which is another subtool. Don't forget that you have multiple polygroups, and you see this kind of big mess in between. If you need, for whatever reason, I may not use it, but for you, you can go in deformation and you have your polish by groups, which will slightly polish your model. And if it's not strong enough, just switch to the other algorithm, this one, small dot. And now you see you have a polish which is way nicer. You can do that multiple times to increase the computing, like that. And for what I'm doing, to be honest, I don't care at all, since I want to just hide that one, and I want to remove from this one here. Let me remove my solo mode that way. And let me bring back this one as a kind of visual indicator. You see I have that, and I want to remove what is outside of this shape. In fact, this one will be cut by that one. You see? Then if I bring back my Boolean mode, you see right now what it looks like. Then I need to increase the size below, this one on top. Then let me switch back here, switching to polyframe mode to see something. And I don't care if my topology is not a good one. I don't care at all. What I really want to do is to, you see, remove my thickness like this. Not my thickness, but I mean the shape. And having something which is nice enough. And there is another trick is, you see I'm slicing like this. Let me hide the front part of the mask. I want to be sure that I will go through everywhere. Okay, like that, I know that I'm not going through. And let me just edit here. Because when I will go through my model, even if I have this part which are not removed from the Boolean operation, I will be able after with ZBrush, of course, to clean it. Then it should be okay. No, that's let me remove the okay, like this, like that. We can see the result, and this is only what I'm looking for, nothing else. And you see, my concern is all these boundaries for the Boolean operations. Boolean operations, I mean for the 3D sculpting. I'm not a big fan of this kind of stuff, but I will find a way. I will find a way. I will find, I don't know what, but I will try to find some shape to go all around to fill that. Oh, I know what I will do. I know. Okay, then I'm okay with that. Then let me do my Boolean operations. Boolean, make Boolean mesh. So I'm just finishing that, and I will look at the chat because there is some messages. Okay, this one. Then now what I just want is, this is the central part. Then I can hide. Sorry, let me use my mouse. It will be my mouse, my pen. It will be way more faster. and I think it's okay. This delete hidden. Geometry modify topology, my delete hidden. Okay. And I think I don't have any kind of floating polygons. You see now I've got a lot of polygons, but I have this kind of boundary all around. And I was thinking of something, but I think it's a bad idea, in fact. Yeah, I will think about that later, offline, because it may be tricky. Because I really want to have something which will be... here. I want something which is very flat because of 3D printing process. I don't want to have some polygons which are going there, but perhaps I will try to Dynamesh with very, very high resolution and try to clean. I don't know yet. Need to think about that. Okay, anyway, delete hidden again. This part, let me copy it. Subtool, copy, going there, and paste it. The only thing I need to do now as well is looking at this mask. No, sorry, I did a mistake. Sorry, delete. I need to go back there. Okay, and no, sorry. Sorry. Past it. Okay, then what I wanted to see is, let me just isolate that one, which is where it will be connected, display this one, and this one, you see, it's already inside of my model on some areas like here. And what I want to do is to, using my Boolean tool, you see, to see the negative. I definitely don't want to work like that, because if I'm doing that, I will have quite some big overlaps, not overlaps, but I will try to plug everything, because of all these keys, in fact, that I'm creating. It will be just a nightmare to manage. Then I will just mask everything. No, sorry. Let me use my mask lasso. What I'm trying to do right now is to mask the part that I will modify. Like this. Of course, with the symmetry, it should be smarter. Now, if I inverse, this is what I need to modify, probably. No. Let me do that the old way. Negative. That's quite a lot of polygons to move. You see, when I'm doing that, I'm doing quite some deformations on the model. Well, it should have been smarter to do that before. You know what? Sorry, I'm undoing everything. And this mask here, this one, while I'm here, let me go back to this model here. Let me delete it. Delete. Okay. And this one, which will be just subtracted, let me copy it, go back to that one, paste it. Okay. And what I will slightly do is, using my move brush, just a little bit, just to make that going outside like this. Same on the other side. I want to be sure that all my parts are outside like this. And this one, what I will do is I will simply inflate it like before. Then deformation inflate by 1. And I will use that subtool as a negative mesh. Like this, it will be cut and I won't have any kind of surprises. You see, even on front, like this. Okay. Just for that, I'm sorry. Boolean. That's a lot to check always. You see, I have some errors and warning during the Boolean operation. Then that's why it doesn't happen a lot of time, but sometimes, yes, you can have that. And it's important to look in your render Boolean, you have show issues. And then it should show, you see here, I have this floating polygon, and I have probably here, you see, this edge, which may have some connection. This is a small error. You see, I see them on these areas. Then the first thing that you need to do is to clean that as much as possible. When you can, you see all these red areas here. But like I said before, I will try to dynamesh everything, which should fix the problem. You see all these red areas are where you have problems with Boolean operations. It really depends on what you want to do. It can be very problematic, but now that I have some errors, if I'm doing again a Boolean operation on top of this Boolean operation, you're pretty sure that you will have quite more errors on the next Boolean operation. Fortunately, this is the last stage of that one. I don't know where was a small mesh. Okay, I don't care, at least for now. Okay, now I can copy this result, finally, and go back to my resulting, not this one, yes, this one. Past it. Okay. And everything is done. Woo! With all my gaps and all these kind of things. Okay. I will do now two things because I'm looking at the time. Oh, sorry, let me save first. What I was saying. Yeah. What I will do now will be to show you how to split some parts and how I will connect some other parts, because I really need to look at the time it is right now and but all the 3D printing process. Okay, then just an example, these two parts, you see that this part is connected to nothing, just floating right now. Then I need to connect it to the model which is behind. Then to do this kind of things, it will be very easy. It will be just creating some connectors that I will plug on it, and after I will print these both parts and just fitting together. Just simple cylinder will do the trick. Then let me put them together. Okay, you see I still keep this cube because I can always, I'm looking about slicing my model and seeing what is it, what is doing together, what they're doing together. Then I have these two models, okay, and I want to connect them and being able to plug them. And what you only need is, like I said before, two cylinders. Let me insert this cylinder, and I don't care about the resolution and all this kind of stuff. I can rotate it to 90 degrees, like this, reduce the size, like that, and this is where I will need my slicing stuff, you will see. Let me reduce the back. Oh, okay, this. And I just need to connect this cylinder inside, and of course not going through the whole model, like this. And I will, this one is a positive one. Let me rename to positive. Okay, I don't think I need something which is that large. And no, I will stick like that. And duplicate, and this one being the negative. Rename negative. No, sorry. Delete. Okay, because what I need to see is if this one won't go through both of them, because I need to do a small hole to connect, but not having this hole going too far inside of the model. Then now I will use my Boolean. I will hide this one, and this one, this cylinder will be just, oops, sorry. This cylinder will be just negative, and using my Boolean operations without the polyframe. This, you see where the cylinder is going through. Then this cylinder is definitely not long enough. You see, just need to scale it and see where until then I can go through. I don't need to go until the end, just half is enough. But when I did that, of course, I may, let's see, going through on the other side, but it's fine at this stage. Okay, then my positive one will be connected to this one, but as a subtraction, we'll be able to do the whole and not going through the model. I don't want to go through, because I need to keep in mind the thickness of my model and the distance between both models. And this one is good, then I can, no, not delete. See, that's why I'm not doing always hide until the next restart. Then now I can put that as a negative. Okay, and this negative, what I can do is to do like before my inflate, always to give this small gap. Then deformation, inflate by 1, and it disappeared because probably it's a -1. Then this one is positive, this one is negative, and why it's, okay, I'm stupid, sorry. Front one, I need to have this positive like that, start group, and the back one need to have this one as a negative model. Okay, and what I did now is another one just at the end. Then this duplicate positive one, I can then duplicate, move it down something like there. Like this, and still go through like that. And again, I will duplicate, going there, being negative, rename to -2, and doing my inflate at the same time. Deformation, inflate, like this, and subtool, negative. Then at this stage, I will be able to at least edit this model and remove these cylinders. I won't do the Boolean operation for now, at least for this one, because this one needs to be connected to this part as well. Then this one needs to have some plugs at the same time. You see, my concern is, it's quite visible. You see, if you are looking that way, it's not visible, but at this angle, this is visible. I don't really like that, to be honest. And perhaps, yeah, I need to see somewhere where I could put them without being too much visible. You see, this is where it's important. Well, most of the time you see the mask like this, it will be painted in black. Perhaps I'm asking myself too many questions. Well, I will stick here, like this, okay? Probably in the real mask, it's a kind of, you remember in the movie, in fact, the front part is just moving up when he's removing, Kylo Ren is removing the helmet, the mask. Then I think there is some kind of mechanism, but I will avoid that. Sorry, I didn't look at the question, in fact, in the chat. I told that, but with a crash. Yeah. Yes, Doug, yeah, having some kind of indicator, some like thing somewhere on the top, like there is mask on, or hidden on, or even Dynamesh on, would be something interesting. Okay, then for these connectors, now what I will do is just adding, sorry, some connector to, let me see, because I need to connect all these parts. I will do an extra connector, and after I will see how I can split this model in two parts. Remember I said that I need to have two parts for this one, and I think I will use this kind of lines here to slice my model in two pieces. Yeah, what I said is I want to see that one. Let me unhide everything else. Not everything else, but the jaws. Where are you, jaws? Okay, like that I have all the parts, and I need to connect this model to the jaw parts and to the helmet. Then again I will need two connectors, same as before, to plug on top and plug on the bottom. I don't need to plug anywhere else. Anyway, I will be able to glue this part with other parts. Okay, then for my connectors, again I will do a positive one, negative one on both sides, just sorry, in the middle. I mean, the same process, there is nothing exceptional. After I will split and I will end the stream for now, and I will continue probably on my personal stream. Okay, okay, cylinders. Then this one, again, I need to have extra cylinders, and this one will be positive one. Okay, and this one will be negative. Inserts, cylinder 3D. Let me scale down, rotating at 90 degrees. And I will probably go down a little bit because of this kind of shape. And I will giving some angle, because it's not, when you have some parallel parts, always try to have your connector being perpendicular as much as possible. And if you start to bend like that, don't stay horizontal. Try always to keep the normal of the model as much as possible. Okay. See, these parts are very close together, then I don't need to have, I think, a big connector. And I can hide that one, which is for me not useful anymore. Let me hide this one as well. And where is my cylinder? Here, okay. Not that horizontal. And if I remember this part, not this one, sorry. This one, ah shit, no choice, need to be there and smaller, yeah, shit. That's tricky. Like this, yeah. Why do I have so much angle? Okay, for that one it's okay, and this one I don't want to go through anyway. I can stretch it if I want, because what I need is just a hole in between. Then this one, it doesn't go through, then it's okay to go on the other side, and then I can hide this one, and if I go to this one, now say that this cylinder is negative, and you see it's going through without any problems. Then this value is good for this cylinder. Then this one as a positive is good, but I want it to be negative for that one. Then I'm duplicating it, going to under this helmet, saying that it's negative now. This is a new start group. And I see that, you see, positive because of that one, which is hidden. Let me just hide that, like that. And this one, like before, no, I don't want to hide it. Deformation, and let's do my usual inflate, like this. Okay, then this one is done. You see, that's a lot of item that you need to consider. This one is a negative. Okay, positive, yeah, positive, positive. This one is positive. I'm giving numbers to avoid having some subtools being duplicated by having the same name. Okay, and like I said before, I need to create another one. Let me hide that one, I don't need it. This is the back one that I need. Okay, and this one I need to connect it with a cylinder on this area, just in between. Then this positive one, let me duplicate it again. Can increase slightly its size. Which should be in between. Yep. As a positive one, it's okay. As a negative one, yeah, not thick enough. Let me tilt it slightly. Oh, I think it was way too much. Yeah, for the thickness it's okay, but you see, not that good for that one. Okay, why do I have... Ah no, sorry, this is the other hole. And I need to check again what it will look like on the other models, and I need to hide this front part just to see what it looks like here. Oh. Jaws, where are my jaws? No, this is my jaws. Sorry, yes, this is my jaws. Where are you? Here. No, not here. Here. Okay. Then I need to have this one being negative for the jaws. This is what I was looking for, sorry. And front one. Okay, let me move that one, sorry, because I want to be positive for this one but negative for that one. Then that's why I'm moving that to the jaws. This one, start group, being negative, and I can hide the front part. Okay, it's negative the good way. Then I can duplicate, going back to my not front mask but this front mask being the positive one. Okay, like this. And for the jaws, like I said before, this one being the negative and not positive. Now I can put that as a negative mesh and adding again my inflate. You see, that's quite a lot of steps. Like I said at the beginning of this stream, it's a lot of steps to consider. Hi Kyle, bye Kyle, sorry, see you tomorrow. Yeah, you do. In fact, you have multiple ways to do these pins connections, and yeah, using some foam for the thickness. You have multiple ways to do that, but I really like the way about, okay, my model, I can print it. If I want to redo something, it just stick, and trying to reduce as much as possible all the manual work after. But again, of course, these pins, I doing them because I want to be accurate when I will plug everything. But for some part, like I said, for hiding some part of my skin, yeah, using some fabrics is more easier. Another reason is, I don't know yet, but perhaps I will put these models for downloads as STL files or ZBrush files if someone wants to reprint the model. I don't know yet. My concern, of course, again, is more the copyright issues. Then if I want to reprint a second version of this helmet, I mean, it will be less manual work for anyone to do after. Just print, plug, done. Well, paint, sand, done. Okay, then you see this part, this connector are done like that. I'm able to connect these two front parts. Let me unhide everything, but in fact, right now, almost everything I'm doing, if all my subtools are visible, it shouldn't affect the final aspect of my scan. You see, I did all my pins. I don't see anything except, of course, this connector, which is the most visible one. After, if I want to glue something, I mean print, it will be just glue inside. This one are already done. I just need to add some, eventually some connector to plug everything. In fact, I will print my model. With the final model will be in one part for the front area, which will go from there, this one, in fact, everything here, like that. It will be a second part, which will be the side of the helmet. A third part, which will be all around here. And the last part will be the top of the helmet. Like that, it will be easier for me to bring, just to travel with this helmet if I want for the ZBrush Summit or any kind of other event. And of course, for connecting this front part, I will glue all this part together anyway. But for connecting the top part of the helmet and the side and the back part to the front part, I will use, like I said before, this small magnet together. And it will be just adding some side connectors, and inside I will have the magnet. And another reason why my magnet are thin is, remember, I looked about having a 0.5 thickness. And if my magnet are 2 millimeters, I still have 3 millimeters just to I mean, around my magnet in terms of metal, which is thick enough in terms of 3D printing, especially for SLA printing. Then it shouldn't be an issue at all. Okay, then the last thing I will do will be to show you how to split this back model, which is very important, in two parts. and you will see it's weird, but it's working pretty fine. Okay, let me just not solo that one, but hiding everything except that one. Okay, then this one, I want to split it in two parts, having two subtools that I will use and reprint and plugging like that together. Then splitting this part in the middle, it's not a big deal because there is nothing to hide. But again, having a large split in between like this, it's not that good, let's say. Then the trick is simply to use a plane. Let me insert my plane 3D as a primitive, which is quite some polygons already, but I will deal with it. And sorry, to be more convenient, display properties, I will switch to double mode. And let me rotate to be, let's say, like perpendicular. And please keep in mind that in ZBrush, when you are using the Boolean tools, and you see I didn't do a perfect rotation, I don't care. When you're using the Boolean operations inside of ZBrush, it's only working on volumes, not surfaces. Then I will need to generate a volume based on the surface. And what I will do so far is, let me slightly rotate to be as close as possible to something perpendicular. Okay, like that. Then in between, I'm okay with that, but I need to rotate and to slice my model like that. You see, in kind of rotation. And what I will do is simply using my mask, inverse my mask with my gizmo, like this. I'm just trying to be close to what I did, like that. See, I'm just trying to slice, and I'm using my mask just to have my shape. Like this. Don't really like this angle, but I will try to, I will smooth anyway everything later. But you see, by doing that already, this is where I want to slice my model. With my move brush, I will trying to adapt to this surface. I can subdivide to have a little bit more control of this area. Let me remove, because it's better when you are slicing this top part to, oops, sorry. Trying to slice in a clean way on the boundaries. Like that, it will plug and will align more easier that way. Okay. And just trying to be as close as possible. I don't say it will be perfect, but should be okay. I don't care for the back part of my model. This is really the front part, which is very important, especially on these areas. And for this one, I won't add a gap with my inflate like I did before. I don't need that, because I really want to have this part, in fact, they're the same part, just slicing them perfectly. Then I just want to be connected as accurately as possible. I don't know if you say that accurately as possible, but well, I hope you understand the meaning of what I'm trying to say. Okay, then I have that. This is my slicing plane, and what I can do is geometry. I added some subdivision levels. Okay, I can perhaps I put too much subdivision levels. Let me just try with that one, at least for now, as a test. I will use my ZModeler brush, and I will QMesh polygroup all. You see, that way. Oops, not that nice. Let me try to do something else, at least. Slightly there. Okay, and now let me do something like that. But what I want to do is to smooth. Ooh. Why do we have that? This one is weird. Ah, I know. You can isolate this polygroup, which is in the outside, and then you see it's a big mess. And for Boolean Operation, this I'm pretty sure I will have some issues. Then what you can do is going to your deformations or whatever your tools you want, and then using the polish, or more important perhaps the relax. But I want to relax only what is visible, and I think it just relaxes everything. I think relax was working fine for that. Let me smooth. Smooth at least is always working nice. The idea is just to clean. And you have this kind of mess because you are you have your polygons going in all directions, and then it will just cross the polygons and overlapping the polygons. You see, and the polish doesn't do the best job for that. Yeah, it takes quite some time, but why not using the brush? Thomas, come on. And you see it doesn't connect here because my brush, for my smooth brush, where are you, smooth brush? Here, collective point to 1. Now it should smooth all these points. I just need to have this part going outside of my model. I don't know why I didn't use my smooth brush in the beginning, like that. And now if I'm doing my Boolean operation with my live Boolean, subtools, I want to just use that as a negative mesh without my polyframe. And you see, like that, your cut, which is done in between. Then I can use my move brush now just to refine. You see, like that. Okay, I prefer to be there for slicing my model, slightly below. Can subdivide slightly. Thank you, boring streamer. Not sure, Duke, to understand what you mean. Then this one is okay, this one is okay. And based on that, I can, because I want to split my model in two, but this one is not splitting, just deleting the other part. And I want to do the other side. Then I can duplicate that one. Duplicate. And I don't say that my process is the best one. Perhaps there is other process to slicing your model that way. And I can duplicate, and because I still want to keep this border like it is, and this one I can duplicate first, and then going down like this, then this one, a new start group. Let me hide that one, and now I want to have the other side of my model. What I can do is just just bringing back this one and delete my polygons. Start to be late for me, really. Delete hidden, say, oh, you have multiple subdivision levels. Yes, let me delete them. Okay, delete hidden, and now doing the extrusion on the other side, the same way as before. No, Thomas, extrude. Yeah, and now, oops, not what I wanted to do. Mask by lasso. Sorry, I need to do a smaller extrusion. Like this one. Okay, and what I can do is, let me isolate this one, move, rotate, like this. Okay, easier like that. Subtool, I don't know why I did a so huge extrusion before. Okay, now, not transparency, sorry, polyframe. And now I have the other part of my mask. And I can do my 2 Boolean operations. I have nothing else. Then make Boolean operations. Okay, and I will work, in fact, now on this one. You see, I have these 2 subtools. If I'm going up and down, you see, I have both of them. The only thing which is missing is a way to, when I will just put them together, of course, to snap them together. Then for that, I will add a small connector here and a small connector on the other side. Nothing else. Then it's the same as before, adding 2 cylinders. Then I will stop for this main Pixologic stream for now. I will continue on my Twitch channel, which is Polysculpt, to do the other parts for at least perhaps 1 hour, because I really want to move forward and I want to start printing this model. Let me just look at something first, because I'm doing that, but perhaps it will be still too long for my printer. 18. Oh, perhaps it will fit. Sorry, let me just do something first, just to be sure. Let me export that one, because perhaps I will need to redo that later. Shit. Perhaps I need to split perhaps horizontally and not vertically. Let me look at something. The plugin, 3D print exporter, where are you? 3D print hub, sorry. Size options, I want to work with the per subtool, original size, update size ratio, this is this one, and I want to multiply by 100. Oops. Why? Sorry, I have some issues with my keyboard. Okay, now it's better. No. 2, 2. Okay, and export to STL, 3D print. This one, no, shit. Export options. Why it takes everything? I don't know why it exports just all the subtool. Oh, sorry, I don't understand why it want to export all these subtools. I have no idea. Just want to have one. Oh, you know what? Let me export both. Anyway, update size ratio. This is this one. Let me just replicate everything. Okay, send to preform. Sorry, I had preform open, but okay. Preform is the software of the Form 2 printer. No, don't want to fix them. I don't care. Just want to see the size. Okay, you see both of them are fitting inside of the printer. Then I can print this one or this one. But you see it's already quite some big models like this, and just delete that one. See, like this. No, it's okay. And then if you're adding some supports, sorry, my UI is in French. You see it's already quite big. Then I have two parts. Then a lot of parts need to be printed that way. You see it's 18 in diagonal. But it will fit perfectly, and you see by slicing I can print the model this way, and all the support will be in the back. Not all of them, but a big part, meaning that the front part won't have support and it won't be a problem about sending my model. Okay, and you see the supports take quite some time. Let me just cancel all of that. And the good thing is, you see all these details will be visible for the printer, which would be great. Okay, then I know that I'm good, and I think I did great at splitting this model. Okay, then let me just revert back to the original one. You see everything else. See, it's quite a lot of items. About this project. Unfortunately, it's not very visible. Like I said before, in terms of sculpting, I added nothing new except this small visor sculpted with how can I say that? These visors just done with array mesh, but everything has been 3D printing some parts, splitting, slicing, and everything, which is definitely not something creative. This is really the part of the technical process to do the 3D print. But it's very important to think and spending quite some time, because again, like I said multiple times in the past, you are working with 3D printing. It will take hours to print, and it can take something like a week to print this model, because it can be 25 hours, 28 hours just to print one part. Multiply by the number of parts, it can take quite a long time. And because my time is very short between my departure for the US, I need to be sure that everything will fit together, because if one part is missing or just not fitting together, or I need to reprint this part, I may just miss the opportunity to bring this model. That's why it's very important to spend the time now, few minutes, few hours, than spending 20, 30, 40 hours after, because you didn't anticipate something. And to be honest, I'm afraid about doing some mistakes. I've been very lucky because with my latest figurines, my two latest figurines, I don't have any kind of issue like that. Just sometimes the gap was a little bit too much or not enough, but a little bit of sanding. Not that much, it has been fine. And I've been very happy with that. But of course, again, it means that spending quite some time in the pre-process work of 3D printing. And for that, you can create a lot of tools to improve your software, whatever software about that. But at the end, if you want to do something which is as much professional as possible to fit your needs undo these kind of things, it's a lot of technical steps. And you know, we developed this Boolean tool for ZBrush, of course, for a lot of usages, for hard surfaces, but also for 3D printing. And we thought a lot about, and we're still thinking a lot about what tool could help. But you see, yeah, perhaps we could add something like a small gap automatically when we are doing Boolean operation. But which size? It's not that easy. And sometimes you need to have some a gap, which it's not in my scenario, but sometimes you need to build the model which will become the gap, because for whatever reason, if you have some soft molds, things like that, that you have, you may create sometime your own gap as a 3D model. Then it's very difficult to automate these kind of issues. But you see, it's a kind of puzzle, yeah. You have your Lego bricks. Let's go with Legos. Lego bricks, and you need to find the way to build your model the way it should be. But you are building your own map, your own path, man. Not that easy, but to be honest, this is really enjoyable. And again, when I had this model with me, you know, this is just a part of the helmet, but it's great to see your model like that you can manipulate and sit and see that, okay, it will fit, it's fine, thickness is good. Of course, I will be happy when I will print the part which is just behind and see that everything is fitting together. It will be a surprise. And another reason is the time, but also the cost. Quite some resin, quite some money. Okay, then, sorry, a lot of talk today. Again, very technical stuff, which is different from some other streamers are doing, which is way more artistic, that I would love to do more, in fact, but we think it's interesting to show another way of sculpting and using ZBrush and going from the virtual world to the real world by doing this kind of cosplay. And of course, I'm trying to be accurate in what I'm doing and to stick as much as possible to the movie by itself. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation again. I don't know yet if I will do a stream next week, because it will be 2 days before my departure to the US. And if I'm late, I may not do a stream, but if I do one, it will be perhaps a short one about the post process. I don't know yet, then perhaps it will be postponed. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you soon, I hope. And I don't know yet for the next project, perhaps another project of Star Wars. Let me just load something. Let me just save first. Sorry. Let me save. And loading something which we posted online for ZBrush for R8 released. It was on hold, but I really want to finish that one. Still in Star Wars universe. Sorry, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. My destroyer files. Sorry, you have a small warning. Come on, load. Yes, I know. Yeah, that's why I need to remove my undos. You see, it's a lot of undos to load. You probably saw some images online, but I don't know yet. This is again something for 3D printing, but I will focus only on the creation part and not the 3D printing part for this model. I don't think, because it will be very long and very boring. I don't know, or perhaps I will go back to anime style of figuring, but more on the creation part. Then I don't know, perhaps I will work on this Star Destroyer. You see, it's more hard surfaces and a lot of details. It's something I'm doing on my own time when I find the time to do it. You see, then all this part, which should be which is mainly ZModeler, array mesh, all these kind of things. ZModeler, again ZModeler, more and more Boolean, of course, but perhaps a project like that. And you see, let me switch online, sorry, to the webcam. You see this one, you see, then printing this kind, and the model will be 1 meter long. Then it will be quite some big part. And you see, this is the turbo lasers, which are very small. No, the webcam won't be able to focus. And yeah, this is very, I really love this kind of projects. Anyway, thank thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon. And if it's not for next Sunday, it will be probably during the summit online. At least I will be managing social media. Then if you have someone answering on Twitter, it will be probably me. Anyway, thank you very much. Bye bye.